Well, welcome podcast community. We're on Technology Matters. My viewers really love when we talk technology, or let me just say, talk to a person that knows technology. And so we have on our show today Erik Boemanns, and Erik, Todd's been a guest of ours, and he said you got to talk to Erik, and he said so we want to have a conversation with Erik because in today's world it's changing fast and technology is absolutely changing the landscape of business. So you really want to be tuned in to how is this going to apply to your business. So Erik, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Absolutely, yeah. So my name's Erik Boemanns. I'm a technology professional for most of my career, but I also went to law school, became a lawyer, and then came back into technology. And so bringing those two together really allowed me to focus on the technology and compliance, technology and cybersecurity. So not only is it technology, but it is also how do we keep that technology safe and secure in this world. And so my focus right now and helping bring that to kind of the small, medium sized businesses, startups, companies who are realizing that they're behind the curve and need to catch up. So anywhere in that space, that's who I would serve.
Yeah, and it's so important. I was at a senior expo event marketplace yesterday at the Cobb Civic Center, I think it's called. And the guy that was doing the seminar was from Homeland Security, and it was cybersecurity and everything to do with the layers of the internet. And man, so I asked him a question. I said, "So, how do you sleep at night?" And so he goes, "Well, I'll say this. I didn't think I'd ever want to retire, but I am going to retire because I want my sleep back." So there's a lot of stuff going on. And where I want to kind of lead this conversation is our small businesses don't have the resources that larger corporations have to protect things. As he said, there's three levels of the internet. You have your basic.com, and then you have your deep, and then you have your dark internet. So when he was talking in the dark space, I was going, holy mackerel. And there is a lot going on, but we won't go into that area. But just speak to my small businesses that, they need to be aware of the cyber protection. They need to be aware of how vulnerable they can be out there. What would you say to our small businesses as you're working with small businesses from time to time? What do you bring into their attention, and what do they need to know?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. One is obviously education, making yourself more aware of what kind of attacks there are, because a lot of businesses think I'm too small, I'm not going to be a target, the hackers aren't chasing me. And unfortunately for them, that's not true. Everybody is a target. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, because a lot of these tools, a lot of these hacks are automated. They just find your email address and they send things to you. So you're right. You're not being attacked by a sophisticated hacker from a foreign country, but you're still a target. You're still being sent these emails, sent these messages that we're going to try to steal your information and use it. And that's even more true if your customers are bigger businesses. So you might be a small company, but your customer might be a big company, and they could be targeted, and now you're the door that they're coming in. So going back to that awareness, education, making sure that you have a sense of how these can happen, and how people are going to try to exploit you. I think that's the key platform. You have to have that education and awareness, and you have to keep it up. So you have to go to conferences, go to events. There's training programs. There's a lot of ways to be trained. That's something that I even do for some types of businesses, is help them get that awareness. Once you have that awareness, that's only the human factor. The other side is the actual technology itself. And the good news is we're coming into an age where even small businesses can afford to get some better security capabilities than they would have been able to in the past. If they're using Google, if they're using Microsoft, some of these common platforms have ways to bring those security capabilities even to the small business. It does cost more money. It does, so you have to invest in it. But knowing what your options are, knowing that you have the ability, even if you're a company of one, you still can have a security program that helps protect that information from those attacks. So know what the attacks look like, but also know that you can have some technology helping you protect yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is not business related, but it's personal related. A friend of mine got hacked and lost 35,000 in like a minute.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much. Why don't you explain to our viewers, what does phishing mean when you hear that term, and we hear it out there, but
Yeah.
we're not at a lake, we're not throwing in a cast with some
No.
bait. What does phishing mean for our
Yeah.
viewers?
Exactly. It's phishing, PHISH, right? And so that is a super common attack. And it's common because, to my earlier point, it's automated. It doesn't take, the bad guys don't have to take any time or effort to do this attack. They just send out this email. It lands in your inbox. It says, hey, Eric, there's an update for your computer. Click this link. Or, hey, Eric, your bank has, your bank account's been overdone. It's going to be some sort of emotional message, something that you have to react to quickly, something that you don't expect. I've even heard one where this was a targeted one where they basically said, your child is sick at the daycare, click here to log in to approve their release. So again, it's emotional, it's targeted, and it's trying to get you to take an action. And that action is to click the link. Now, when you click that link, all sorts of things can happen. They could download a program to your computer, or more likely, they're just asking you to give them your username and password to your bank, to your email, to whatever it is that your digital life, right? And then once they have that username and password, well, now they're in, and now they can do whatever it is they want to do. If it's your bank, start focusing on stealing the money, to your point earlier. If it's your email, well, that email effectively unlocks your whole life, because how many times have you had to reset a password? And what do they need? They need your email. So yeah, once you give out your email password, it's kind of game over for a lot of your online life. And so that's what their target is to emotionally trick you into taking some sort of action. And then that action steals some type of information from you that they can then use later to steal even more from you.
Yeah, there was a guy at this seminar, and he said that the email had something personal, like let's just say the CEO was John Jones. John Jones needs you to respond to this. So the person knew the leader in the company and was sending him an email. And so he was like, oh man, CEO wants to talk to me. Click this link. No. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I think he said, like, get on the phone, call them. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just take the verbiage of an email, because you're right about the emotional thing. They play on people's emotion, and they try to hurry you into thinking that you
Exactly.
have to act. And
acting without thinking.
Yes. What would you say, like, for small businesses that have employees and they have different people, and all of a sudden you can't monitor all your employees? What do business owners do to kind of protect their data and protect their company, that they don't know if an employee is going to do something that might jeopardize their company? What do you recommend for small companies, and how do they handle a situation like that?
Yeah, I think one of the first things is, a lot of small companies historically have tried to save money by having like one mailbox, right? One email account that everybody shares, or one login into the financial system. Again, it saves you money, but it creates all sorts of risks that I don't think people are historically aware of, and maybe not even today. And so kind of that's a step one, is making sure that everyone in your company who has access to sensitive or critical information, financial, customer data, whatever it is that you want to protect, has their own account into it. And that's one, because if they do leave your organization, it's very easy to turn it off and know that they no longer have access. But two, if something happens, if one of their passwords is reused and gets stolen, then you also know that where that problem is coming from. So you can tell, oh, it's Pete's account that's actually causing the problem, not Eric's. And if we're all sharing it, there's just really no way to tell. That's kind of a step one, is have good practices around your users, so that you know where the threat is and you know how to manage it, and absolutely don't have the shared mailboxes anymore. There's actually ways to do that. If you have a sales ad, you can have multiple people have access to it, but they still have their own logins. Things like that can help blend together what the old practice with the better practice.
Right.
So I think that's kind of a key thing. Unfortunately, the other thing is to start looking at how do you invest in some security products, some security technologies. We talked about the phishing, trying to steal your username and password. If you're using a Google, if you're using a Microsoft product, you can have the multi-factor, so you have to type in the number from your phone. There are things like that that a lot of businesses are actually, because of their contracts with their clients, or with if they have cybersecurity insurance, these are requirements now. So just making sure that you understand how to do that and how to do it correctly, so that you can meet those obligations that you're probably signing up for without even sometimes realizing it. But also just because it will protect your information better. There's so many more technologies that can be layered upon it, and that really is I don't know if you've ever heard kind of the onion model for security. You have to have lots of layers of security, because the hackers can always find something. They'll always find a problem, but if it's a layered defense, they have to find a lot of holes through all those layers to actually get to something. So that other idea, just have layers of protection around that information.
Yeah, we had a lady on, and she was an organizational declutter expert, and we were talking about the do-it-yourselfers that say, I'm going to do it myself, and we have people move into this building, and all of a sudden the couch isn't fit and it's off by 2 inches, and they thought they were saving money by just getting their son or a friend to move, but they didn't measure anything, they didn't do anything, or they dropped a big screen TV, and the person was helping out, and they're not going to say, hey, I'll take $1,000 for the TV you just busted. Right. So when it comes to do-it-yourselfers, I could probably be in the camp of the anti-do-it-yourselfers, because we think we're saving money, but we're actually costing us money, because, one, we don't consider our time, and two, we don't consider how expertise, because just because you watch a YouTube video doesn't make you an expert. So right. I want you to talk to my business owners about just the fact is, like, they have a cousin who's a technology guy, and the cousin is helping them out doing technology. What are the downsides to this? Because it's getting more sophisticated every day. I mean, you got AI, you got all these crazy things changing very rapidly. What would you tell our business owner in a educational manner, how important it is to get, and I know it's a little self-serving, but we want to bring good information to our viewers. Why would it be important for them to have an expert like yourself in their camp helping them? What are some of the benefits you can tell us with?
Yeah, so I love the analogy of the do-it-yourselfer, right? Because perhaps if you dedicate an entire week to your cybersecurity, you might scratch the surface if you have a clue about cybersecurity and technology. But that's all you would do, is scratch the surface. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, your cousin may know IT, but what part of IT do they know? Because IT is now so big and so complex. Mm-hmm. I can't even claim to be an expert on all the different things. Even though I can claim expertise in cybersecurity, I still have to work with experts when it gets into those special cases. And so the idea that somebody who built your website, great, looks great, it's a wonderful website, perfect, then can come into your office and say, also, yes, your network is secure and nobody's going to steal your passwords. It's unlikely that a person has all those skills. It's not impossible. There are absolutely those people out there. But if that's not their day job, if it's not what they're living and breathing all the time, then it's going to be very hard for them to be current, be kept up with what the latest attacks are, the latest technologies to prevent it, because it changes so fast. I did a lot of cloud technology work, basically helping companies leverage Microsoft Cloud. And one of the things we always said, whatever I told you 6 months ago, that's wrong. Because even on the positive side of the business, technology is changing about that pace every 6 months. Whatever we thought we knew is probably wrong. The cybersecurity can be absolutely faster, because there's a full-time company, a full-time cyber criminals, right, focused on pushing that industry forward faster than the good guys can keep up. So yeah, it's so hard to keep up that unless that's your day job, unless that's where you live and breathe, you're probably going to miss something. And even then, you might still miss it, and knowing you have to have that network behind you to help you fill those gaps.
Yeah, and it's moving fast.
Yeah.
It's I mean, AI, my partner's up in Canada, and he kept saying, Pete, you've been playing around with AI. He was trying to encourage me to just put my foot into it and learn it. And so I started doing it just to summarize books and just get. Now I'm finding myself utilizing the tool because when I searched Google, I get all this stuff, like all these advertisements, and there's so much clutter in there. But when I do like Chat GPT, it's clean. And then I can
Yep.
ask it another question and go deeper in whatever topic. How are you using, AI to kind of keep you on the cutting edge of your expertise?
Yeah, similar to you. The first entry is always just to use something like a ChatGPT as kind of I use it more as a guide, right? Because you're right, it's very concise, but also you have to then verify that what it's telling you is accurate. There's still some concerns there, or you have to dive deeper. So it's a great starting point. I need to know more about this particular type of attack. It's going to give you 7 things that matter. It might be leaving out 8 and 9. You have to do your research to be complete. But at least you have those 7 things to start that knowledge, to start understanding that particular problem. And to your point, you can dive in and say, tell me more about point number 3. And so it absolutely is a great organizer of information. And then use that information to go kind of deep dive into where the rest of the internet can help you, right? And as opposed to, because I personally can't stop with ChatGPT. I have to use it as a guide and then go get the real information, so to speak, from the vendors, from the companies, from the authorities.
Yeah, because it goes backwards. I mean, it doesn't go forward. So
Right.
anything that breaks, a month from now is not going to be entered into it as information.
Exactly.
And I always like that. I don't know who said it, but they said HI, human intelligence.
Yes.
There's never a replacement for HI. It's like you can put AI out there all you want, but humans think. I've heard some of my friends say, hey, it's going to replace everything. It's going to, no, It's a tool. It's a tool that you can use to simplify processes and different things to enhance your ability to continue to get better, because we all are learning every day. Like you said earlier, what I told you 6 months ago, throw it out the window. Things have changed. I mean, and so to my point for small business owners that think that they get that initial setup and they do, how important is it for your clients to have access to you on a regular basis? What do they gain by having, Erik there to be able to manage the technology changing world?
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of times the relationship starts with kind of an upfront assessment, right? Like, where are you today? What do we need to fix right away? And then you might think, well, now you can go away, right? You fixed it. My problems are going to be good. I never have to worry about cybersecurity again. As we've just been saying in the last few minutes, that's not how this works. And so it does become a relationship. It does become an ongoing, let's check in once a month just to make sure that what we put in place is still working effectively, cost efficiently, and also keeping up with whatever has changed in the world. Let's talk about once a quarter. What are the big trends we're seeing that we need to be ready for? AI is now being used to attack people. How are we understanding, is that affecting your business, and what do you need to do differently? Annually, what's the big picture? What's the strategy for the year? And so having those regular checkpoints at those different levels helps keep that 6-month problem from being an actual problem, right? So whatever I told you 6 months ago is wrong. Well, if we've been talking every month, then we're still doing the right thing today, even if that is shifted off of what we started out, that journey we started out 6 months ago. And so, yeah, always there's something up front you got to dive into, but then you have to keep it on course. There's no autopilot in the world of technology or cybersecurity.
And is, because I had put in our podcast, CxO, are you talking like a chief technology officer?
Right.
Okay. I'm a big fan of fractional concept. I think that
Yep.
big businesses get big because they know how to leverage their resources. They know how to do things better, because you're not going to make it to big unless you are thinking like a big person. So I
Yep.
want you to just, to our small businesses, when you hear the word fractional, explain what a fractional technology officer would mean to my small businesses.
Yeah, I think the first thing to realize is the word fractional applies to the cost, not the expertise that you're getting. You're getting 100% of a senior level expertise, but you're getting them at the fraction of the cost if you were to hire them full time. And the reason is because you probably don't need that person full time. If they're going to sit around your office staring at the wall for 80% of the week, you don't have to pay them for that 80% of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So the fraction is on how much time you need, but not the level of expertise you need. And so I think that's a key takeaway, is anyone who's in that fractional model is bringing very senior expertise, very top tier expertise, they should be, to your business. And so you're basically a small company accessing, equivalent level that the big companies, so oftentimes fractional came out of the large companies and now they've switched to that model.
Yes.
So you're getting that same expertise that a big corporation got for a company that whatever size you are. So it's an amazing opportunity from that perspective. And again, from a cost that makes sense for your business.
Yeah, I love that. You get the expertise, but you get a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that she's the marketing person for not a small, but a growing company. And they hired a fractional director of sales, or VP of sales.
Yep.
He was with them for a year and a half. Then he helped them hire a full-time once they grew.
Yep.
And it's like, she said, it was the best thing we could have done, because one, we would have never found the person that this person found, but two, they got a fraction of the cost, but the expertise of growing their operation. So, I just love the idea that we now have the talent in the industry to give a fraction of the cost, but the expertise that our small businesses really need it to grow. And it's so important that you're on the cutting edge of that information, but without taking on a big salary. And I like what you said. The guy's looking at, or gal is looking at the wall 80% of the time, you're paying for it. That's an expensive stare. I mean, that's just costing you money, and your competition is going to be flying by you, because they're going to have a better idea of the resources that they're spending. So what would you say to, like, when people call you and they're saying, hey, Erik, we really need to get a hold of how our business is going to grow? What are the steps you take when to come in to assess, or to kind of see if it's a good match?
Yeah. So the very basic steps, right, are first figure out where you're at. What do you have in place? Where are there gaps in that, just from a pure technology footprint or cybersecurity plan, which path we're walking down? But then where do you need to go? So are you trying to scale your business? You have 10 employees today, you're going to have 100 or 500 in the next 2 years? Because that's the next question, is in what time frame? Do you have 100 customers today and you need 10,000 customers to meet some sort of goal? Whatever that scale is, because it can be so many different metrics. Let's then create that roadmap. Let's say, here you are today, here's what you have. If in that future vision of your company, here's what we know you're going to have, right? You can't support that level of customer, you can't support that level of employee growth, whatever it is, without having these things in place by that time. Now let's map that out. Let's say, well, within 6 months, you have to have done this. Within 12 months, you have to have this, and create whatever that roadmap, 1, 2, 5 year vision. Along the way, what are the milestones that if you don't meet those, that long-term vision is going to be impacted? And so really is assess, figure out where you're at, figure out what your vision is, and create the map between here and there.
Dang, I love that. That's just so simple to understand. I mean, because I think we make business too complicated. And if we can break it down into simple steps like that, because
Yeah.
you have a big vision as an owner, but
Hmm.
you still have to get there. And so
Yeah.
there's milestones, there's benchmarks, there's markers that you need to be aware of, that when you hit those or you don't hit those, you're always pivoting. You're
Yeah.
always kind of like, you can't say, well, I want to be here, but you don't take the steps to get there. So you're going to have to pivot and put whatever in place that you need to
Yeah.
grow, because it is crazy competitive out there today. I mean, it's,
Exactly.
hey, the strong survive. And if you don't believe that in technology, then you don't have a clue to really how the market is changing. And technology drives everything. I mean, it is so important. I mean, just even in the business I'm in, my technology guy said, "Hey, we got to get rid of StreamYard. It doesn't integrate with anything that I feel that you have to automate." So it was
Right.
like, I like it, but I don't know that what I don't know. So I'm working so much harder because I don't know what's out there, and I'm not aware of the integration and the automation, that if I don't adapt, my competition is going to fly by me like I'm standing still. So
Yeah.
it is so cool to really tap into experts and resources. So I
Yeah.
know I could talk technology for all day, but I know I want to wind it down because I promised you 20-25 minutes.
Sure.
So tell our viewers, how can they get a hold of you, Erik?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email address is eric@mirability.com. That's ERIK at MIRABILBILITY.com. So I'll do that one more time. MIRABILITY.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can find me, Erik Boemanns, Boemanns. I'm the only one with that name on LinkedIn. So if you find me, that's me. And so reach out either there or by email. Happy to start the conversation and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I found you on LinkedIn in 2 seconds
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, I got to find out more about Erik. So I found you in no time. So
Yep.
yes, go to LinkedIn, reach out to Erik, really get your technology strategy down, because there's one thing that'll impact your business in a powerful way. It's technology. We're in that age where the internet's changing quick, and you have to be aware of what resources are out there so you can grow your business. So what would you say, Erik? What would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home today from our podcast?
I'm going to go back to the cybersecurity because I think that's a super critical thing, and it's not going to go away. Go scribble down a plan. Go figure out, how am I going to train my employees, myself, on what's happening, and how am I going to understand, do I have what I need today to be secure, right? I think that if you can't answer those two questions, go figure out how you can answer those questions, because what you don't want to have happen is what too many corporations have had happen these past few weeks. I'm sorry, your information was stolen from my service. Like, you don't want to take that message as a small business.
Yeah.
You do not want that message to go out to your customers. It's just that can end a small business.
Yeah, I mean, the trust that businesses have with you is that you'll trust the information that you're engaging with. So yes,
Yeah.
it can definitely put you in a position where you're either out of business or you're not going to grow when you make mistakes when it comes to cybersecurity. I want to thank you, Erik, for being our guest. Now, here's for the promotional message. I want to give this. This is not you, but it's to my seniors. We have adult children and our senior parents coming together with a little laughter. We want to have some fun with our mom and dad. So the vendors out here that really make you aware of the the resources that you have for your aging parents. You don't know what you don't know if you don't come together with them. So we're going to have the vendors there. This will be at Grace Church, which is right by Town Center, on the 22nd of May from 6 to 7:30. So that tickets are $15. You can buy 10 for $10 a piece. And if you need to go to podcasterpetekane.com, you can see it at the top of the link tree. That'll give you information on how you can take advantage of this. So thank you so much, Erik. We really appreciate you educating us on the power of fractional technology. I mean, share this with your viewers, with people you know that want to grow their business. And having somebody like Erik with his skill set is going to help you get to be a bigger business. So thank you so much, Erik. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
You're certainly welcome.